everyone, I'm Zanati Tahta and I'll be your moderator for today's presentation. Thank you all for joining us to explore an essential topic in communicative classroom interaction, which is dealing with disruptive behaviors. Before we dive in, let me introduce my teammates. We've got extraordinary speakers lined up to guide us through various aspects of this topic. There are Nazifa Madina and Sabrina Rahmi. Now, let me give you a quick overview of the goals and flow of today's session. Our presentation will delve into the work of dealing with disruptive behavior, as you can see in the table of contents here. Now, let's continue our journey with me. I will explain about disruptive behaviors and how to dealing with non-violent disruption. Okay, now let's begin with disruptive behavior. Disruptive behaviors are actions that interfere with the learning process and divert attention from academic tasks. For examples include talking out of turn, disturbing classmates, or showing disrespect.
Next, I will talk about dealing with nonviolent disruption. Handling nonviolent disruption requires a different approach compared to more serious disturbance. Teachers need to use strategies that minimize this disruption while maintaining a positive classroom atmosphere. Here are some effective strategies. First is prevention. Establish clear and consistent classroom rules and build positive relationship with students. Second is intervention. Use nonverbal cues, close physical proximity to the student, or calmly give verbal reminders. And last is consistency. Address disruption in the same manner each time to reduce confusion and inconsistency. However, due to the variety of nonviolent disruption, each type requires a more specific approach. Here are some common disruption and how to address them. First problem is disruptive talking. Disruptive talking is one of the most common forms of disruption in the classroom. This includes students talking without permission or chatting with their friends while the teacher is teaching. To address this, teacher can establish clear speaking rules, give warnings, and apply consistent consequences. Second is interrupting. Interrupting conversation is a disruptive behavior that can divert focus from the lesson. Teacher can handle this disruption by giving specific cues when someone wants to speak, organizing turn taking for speaking, and providing positive reinforcement for students who follow the rules.
Okay, next is clowning. Clowning behavior occurs when students try to attract attention through funny or disruptive means, which can create a distraction for other students. Teacher can address this behavior by giving appropriate attention to the student at the right time without reinforcing the behavior and by setting clear expectations for acceptable behavior. Next, it's being discourteous. Discourtesy includes behaviors such as speaking rudely, ignoring teacher instruction, or showing disrespect to classmates. Teachers should be address this behavior by setting clear behavior boundaries, enforcing classroom rules, and applying consistent and fair consequences. Next is failing to clean up. Failing to clean up after activities disrupt classroom order and cleanliness. To address this, teachers need to emphasize the importance of personal responsibility aside specific cleaning tasks and regularly monitor and enforce cleanup routines. The approach outlined in this chapter emphasizes the importance of understanding firmness and consistency in dealing with disruptive behavior in the classroom, aiming to create a positive and productive learning environment for all students. Okay, that's all from me. Let's kick things off with our second presenter. Please welcome Nazifa, who will share insight into dealing with violent disruption. So take it away, Nazifa.
Thank you, moderator. Okay, next material is talk about dealing with violent disruption. As you can see and read in the PPT, there are 3 points for the dealing with violence disruption. The first is safe school program in place. Student behavior in school highness on the implementation of comprehensive violence prevention strategies, which include the reliable security system and consistent school-wide policies for addressing antisocial conduct. This creates a safe and nurturing learning environment. So this means that to effectively handle and reduce violence behavior in school, it is crucial to have well-established violence prevention strategies. These strategies should include a dependable security system and consistent implementation of policies across the school to address and mitigate antisocial behavior, such as measures ensure a safe and supportive environment conducive to learning. The second point is about bullying. Safe and conducive learning environment requires addressing bullying and antisocial behavior effectively. Like in case Mr. Duck approach, which focus on stopping disruption behavior, preventing recurrences, and providing constructive ways for students to manage insecurities, highlight the importance of creating a secure atmosphere where both student and teacher can thrive without fear of violence. And last but not least, point is about fighting. The effective intervention in student fight requires timely and strategious action to prevent escalation and ensure safety. Teachers should use clear command to avoid physical intervention unless certain of safety and rely on established protocols for the escalation and obtaining help. This includes strategies like peer meditation for prevention and specific safety techniques when weapons are involved. In other ways, the effective management for student fight involves timely intervention during the early strategies, using clear command and non-physical strategies to preventing escalation. Teachers should focus on the escalation techniques such as peer meditation and prioritize their safety, especially in situations involving weapons. Training in specific strategies for handling violence confrontation is crucial to ensure the safety of both student and teacher. Okay, that's it all I can say. I give it back to moderator.
Thank you, Nazifa, for setting the stage with your insightful presentation. For the next material about effects on teacher will be explained by Sabrina.
Okay, thank you to moderator. I will explain about attack on teachers. First part is causes. Number 1, student makes the mistake of physically attacking teachers for a variety of complex reasons. Case example, Mrs. Mildred scolds Jim for talking during class. Jim feels abused and loses respect in front of his friends, leading him to attack Mrs. Mildred. Jim is then expelled and sent to an alternative school. And number 2, the teacher is an accessible target of the student at a moment when the student is reacting angry. And case example, Mr. Dial tries to calm Kramer, who is arguing with Danny. Kramer, in a fit of anger, hits Mr. Dial and injures him. And number 3, the student attempts to exert control over authorities, win favor with peers, seek refuge on authority, or relieve boredom by carrying out a prank that endangers the well-being of teachers. And case example, a teacher at Black Hawk Train High School has an accident because a student damaged the car tire as a prank. The teachers can't identify who did it and decides not to react to avoid encouraging the student. And the last is number 4. The student feels obliged to defend herself or himself against a perceived danger posed by the teacher. Case example, Mr. Mo, a strict-faced principal, cases Rudolph using drugs. Scared, Rudolph attacked Mr. Mo with a wrench to defend himself. Okay, the next second part is strategies. To reduce the risk of becoming a victim of student violence, there are several principles that can be followed. First, do not be intimidated by threats of violence and do not pose a threat to students. The use of physical force is only justified in drastic situations to prevent injury to oneself or others. Also, avoid becoming a target when students react aggressively without thinking. Also, avoid giving ultimatums with severe sanctions, as this might lead to more undesirable behavior. In addition, should not tolerate violence behavior and may use the power of the law to prevent it. It is also important to build positive relationship with students and earn their respect. Finally, it is important to implement the Safe School program insistently together with colleges. And the last part is vandalizing. Vandalism in schools can disrupt learning and should be handled by school administrators and the police. Teachers should avoid trying to catch the vandals themselves, as this can create conflict with students. Some students may even continue vandalizing just to play a cops and robbers game with teachers. Besides reporting vandalism, teachers can also take steps to prevent it from happening again. And case example, Mr. Romano found her gym equipment damaged with a flat soccer ball and cut golf nets. She thought some student who didn't like soccer might be responsible. After reporting it, she took the student to the soccer field for aerobic exercise instead of soccer. Some students complained, but they ended up doing a thought gymnastic routine and felt tired and sweaty. Mr. Romano reported this to her supervisor for further actions. Maybe just enough for me. I return to moderator.
Thank you, Sabrina, for your explanation. And now we jump up to the conclusion.
The conclusion of dealing with disruptive behavior emphasizes the importance of a true understanding of disruptive behavior and how to deal with it effectively. It covers the identification of different forms of disruptive behavior and their causes, including psychological, environmental, and unmet needs factors. By understanding these factors, individuals can develop appropriate strategies and techniques to manage and reduce disruption, thereby creating a more conducive and harmonious environment, be it in the classroom, workplace, or other public space. The point of this discussion is to provide the necessary knowledge and tools to deal with disruptive behaviors constructively and proactively in order to achieve more positive and productive interaction. And last, I want to express my gratitude to our speakers for sharing their valuable insight. Also, I want to say thank you all for your active participation and engagement. Until next time, happy learning!